you have your new air threading overlock or surging sewing machine. This is one of those machines that you have the ports to thread your loopers via these tubes through the loopers, and you don't have to manually thread it. It will automatically thread it for you, which makes it a whole lot more convenient to thread your sergers. It's pretty simple. There are, however, a couple of inherent problems that you might have with these machines. These tubes you see here in the looper, and there's another one in a looper, and there's one in your upper looper. And these are the ones that are going to connect to these. These can get plugged with lint, fuzz that might get clogged in there. Some of the thread build up in the tubes after the thread passes through them, can actually clog it. And you'll notice when you try to thread these that your thread is not coming out of the looper. Some of these machines are going to come with a looper threader. The looper threader is not for cleaning out the tubes in your looper. You have a loop on one end that you're going to push the thread through, and then the other end is going to snake through the loopers to pull it out, pull the thread through. The problem with these looper threaders is the end that you're going to actually stick through the looper has a rough spot on it where they cut it. That cut, if you push it through these loopers, can actually cause some rough spots inside in the looper tubes, which will actually cause the threads to hang up inside the looper tubes and not go all the way through. So it's a good idea, if you're going to use a looper threader, run the loop back through, push it in from the end, where where the thread is supposed to come out, push it in from there all the way back and out so that the loop shows up down here. Put your thread through it and then pull it through. That way this rough end of it cannot scar the inside of your loopers and make your threads hang up. This is a looper threader. It's not for cleaning out. If you have debris caught in these looper tubes and you push this through there to try to push that stuff out, pretty much what happens is wherever that is, you're just going to pack it tighter. And then usually what happens is someone goes in from the other end also and then pushes from that end. So you just pack it tighter and tighter inside the loopers. There's a point when you can't get it out of the loopers, and at that point you have to change this looper. And these loopers are not cheap. They are expensive loopers. So you want to make sure, if you can't get a thread through it at all, and you've tried your looper threader going in from the back way, or you can thread it through this way and have the loop come out here. Just remember, you want to push the loop through there because it doesn't have a rough edge, and it's going to allow you to put the thread through the loop and pull it back through, whichever way you're going to do it. Pull it back through this way or pull it back through this way. You're going to make sure that you don't scar the insides of these looper tubes. First thing you want to do is unthread your loopers. Make sure that there's no thread in them. Take your presser foot off. And we want to be able to see these looper tubes as this moves. You see these move up out of the way. See if we can get a thread to go through there. If we can't, then we will thread through with our looper threader. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put it in our threading position. And if you notice, the whole looper tube threading system has engaged into our three different loopers: upper looper, lower looper, and chain stitch looper. So we're just going to thread one of these for the time being. Pull out a little bit of thread. We're going to get our looper thread started. And if you notice, it pushes that thread right out. At this point, we're going to pull out some excess thread. We have about a foot of thread out of each side. We're going to take and pull this back so we have, a good 6 or 8 inches of thread on this side. And the best thing to use to clean out these looper channels, looper tubes, is some of the woolly nylon. And this woolly nylon, it looks pretty close to regular thread, but if you give it a little pull and then let go of it, it fuzzes up a little bit more. But this takes up a little more space inside your looper tubes, and it will help you clean them out. So all you're going to do is tie a knot, lay them alongside each other, and tie a knot in them. This knot won't slip out, so if you notice I can pull it this way and it doesn't slip out. Then you're going to grab your looper and your thread that's coming through your looper, and you're going to pull this through. Just make sure it doesn't form a great big glob here and have a problem going through. And you pull this all the way out, and you'll see over here we have pulled our woolly nylon out of our looper. So I'm going to pull this back, and you know, see I'm holding this so it doesn't get a knot built up on the end, so I can pull it through. Now let's just say, for example, if you're pulling this through and it hangs up, don't continue to pull it because you'll break that off in there. Pull it back out, and then that way you don't have a knot in there. And then maybe start over, get you a new thread, tie a new piece of woolly nylon, and pull it through again. But as we do this, make sure that you have the tail of the thread. And you see we're pulling it out over here. So now I'm going to hold on to this thread, pull the extra of my woolly nylon out, and then pull it back long again, making sure if there's any fuzz on it, I'm wiping that off. And now then you're going to pull this back through again. You do this 4 or 5 times, and once you feel that you've got it all cleaned out, you can move the whole thing out. At this point, we're going to clean one of our other loopers. So we're going to put our thread into our other looper, and just make sure you hold on to this tail of thread. And if you notice, it comes out our lower looper thread. So we're going to do the same thing, just make sure this thread is laying flat, and you can pull this through, and you will see it come out the looper over here. Just make sure you hold on to your tail. And we're going to pull our looper threads out. Make sure you pull them so they lay flat back. And we're going to pull it back through again. And this cleans out your looper channels, your looper tube channels, without causing any problems to them. So there's nothing here to abrade or cause damage to the inside of the looper tubes, because this is nice and soft. And the woolly nylon, you see, it's nice and thick. It's going to fill up that tube and pull any lint out of its way. So once you're done cleaning this tube out, or you feel like you've got it all, you're going to do the same thing. Pull this all the way out. So we're going to do the same thing to the chain stitch looper. Just make sure you hold on to this, your tail of thread, and there is our thread that has come out of our chain stitch looper. And remember, make sure that your threads are nice and straight, and there's no additional knots other than this. You don't want a big tangle because it's not going to go through the hole, and you do not want to get this caught inside of here, because then you'll have to bring it in to have that knot removed, if it's possible to remove it. So we're going to pull this back through, holding on to our tail. We're going to pull our woolly nylon out. Make sure there's no knots in that, and you're going to pull this back through until your woolly nylon thread starts to come back out. Pull it out, make sure that there's no huge knots or anything in that, And we're going to pull it back through one more time. Now remember, if this hangs up and you can't, this end is not able to pull that out, then you're going to pull this back through. So we're going to pull this all the way out now, and we're done cleaning our loopers. So that's a simple way to clean your loopers. A lot of people will try to blow air through them. That's what, whenever you press the lever on some of the air threader machines, or you press the button on some of the air threader machines, that's what you're doing, is you're pushing air through it. Even if you have to try several times to get your thread all the way through, it's better to try several times and then clean the looper tubes out, and then try it again to make sure that it's flowing through there okay. Our looper threader is for threading our looper. It's not for cleaning it out. And if you notice, this end has a loop on it for putting the thread through to pull it through. This end does not, but this end has a sharp end to it. So when you stuff this end through, what happens is it's going to cause some scratches on the insides of your looper tubes, and those scratches are going to start hanging up the threads as you try to get them through. So I don't recommend using this end. I recommend using this end. So if we were going to disconnect this so we can get this up far enough, ideally you would start at this end and then just keep feeding your looper through, your looper threader through. It'll eventually make it all the way through there. And notice I'm grabbing this looper threader real close to the looper. If I grab it back here, I put a kink in it, and the kinks are going to cause you more grief. So get real close and just take your time and push that looper threader all the way through. See if we're getting close here. Let's see if we're getting close here. And if you notice right there, that's our looper threader. This is a looped in, so it's not abrasive to the inside. We just want to cut a piece of thread that we can pull back through there so we can use our threading cleaner. So just like we did here, we're going to take and run this through, and we're going to hold on to our tail, pull our thread through our looper, lay our looper threader off to the side. It's going through just the looper. We're going to take our woolly nylon, we're going to give it a stretch so that it fuzzes up a little bit, and then somewhere around halfway we're going to tie our threads together in a knot here. And by tying them this way, this knot can't slide down the thread. So now we're going to do the same thing. Pull our looper with our cleaner all the way through. Hold on to your tail of thread so you can pull that back, your woolly nylon, and make sure there's no loops or tangles in it, and then feed it back through. And the same again here. We're going to pull our looper threads back, make sure there's no tangles in it, and holding on to our tail of thread, and then back through. And we're going to go one more time. Make sure there's no tangles. Pull this back through. And if you pull it slowly, that way you don't have to worry about it getting any tangles in there before you can stop. So now then we've cleaned our looper tubes out. And that is how you clean your looper tubes out. So there's two different ways. You can clean out just from here to here, or you can clean out from your air threading port on your looper threading system all the way through. But the whole point is you want to make sure, if you decide to use this just to thread this side, if you know that's where it's hanging up, and the way you tell that is with this engaged. When you engage your threading system, your air threading system to your loopers, you're going to hear the click. It's going to engage. You want to make sure when you pull this back, if you had tried to thread your machine and it didn't make it all the way through the loopers, you will actually see a thread across here. So you can rotate this and grab a hold of that thread. That's going to be the thread that's coming out of here, and you notice it's not coming out of the looper tip, either one of the looper tips. That means it's not going through the looper. So if it's not going through the looper, this is where you will want to try to use your looper threader to go through the looper from either this end or from the other end, but you want to push it through with the looped end, not this end, because this end is going to scratch the inside of the loopers and potentially cause everything to build up in there on the scratch. So you pull that through and then pull your thread back through, and this way you can thread your looper manually so that you can clean it out. So that's the easy way to clean your looper threading tubes out without damaging them at all, scarring them up on the inside or scratching them up on the inside and making the problem worse. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'd be happy to hear them. And I do read all the comments. If you're asking a question, then I'll respond to your question as well. I hope you enjoyed the video and you get something out of it. And if you did, I would appreciate if you would like the video. And if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. Thanks again for watching.